Eric was a man ahead of his time. He was definitively, of a genius caliber as far as his capacity to absorb. And I don't think that on many levels he was understood as far as what he was bringing about on the stages. He's definitively a man of the theater. I mean, way beyond just like a ballet room. His life was a life in the theater, very dramatic, of course, but and that's why he was able to deliver those story ballets, so many of them, so well.
There was this aspect about Eric when you were in the studio with him and he was choreographing. There was almost this mystery of working with somebody with that incomprehensible ability, because he must have had a tremendous memory not for every aspect of what he was doing. He would have the memory for the long passages that he would choreograph without stopping, and he would also have the memory for the music. And then he'd come into the studio and you had a sense that you were working with someone who had an uncanny ability. It was beyond the normal, I would say. We've been talking about his multifaceted abilities because his use of mime in summer ballet, I just found it wonderful. I always wondered, how is he going to get the character of the fiancé, or the character of the young man it is. I wondered, how is he going to get the character of the young man to suggest that everybody plays a game of cards? And that someone who isn't used to playing cards place a heavy bet. And he did it all in mime in about 10 seconds.
His sense of humor, that I guess he always said it was his savior, his sanity. Sense of humor was his sanity.
He had a very good sense of humor and could give very comic characterizations if he needed to.
Yes. In vintage, that was just, 2 to a dozen. I mean, every scene was just like so packed with extraordinary humor.
I thought that was true in our ballet vintage. The clerk of the store, who was harried by all the goings-on in the store, very well characterized.
The color, the costumes, the choice of costume were just a riot too as well.
It was very English, tongue-in-cheek humor. The scenario, which actually originated with me, I came under the influence of I had been looking at Roland Petit's ballets on film, and I liked these were black and white films with vintage choreography of Roland Petit. And we came up with a modern scenario that involved a Goodwill store and 3 punk girls that panhandle enough money to go into the store and buy a few fanciful items to use in their hip way of dressing, and also to kind of act out their fantasies. And so with this basic scenario, we introduced other characters who come into the store. The girls successfully panhandle some change from a jogger, and then the jogger, realizing that he thinks one of the girls is attractive, follows her into the store. This is the score of the waltz, also the score I used in rehearsal to make notes on what the choreography was and what corresponded to what in the music. And this is the waltz that has been published and was a moment of high comedy in the ballet. It's the whole pas de deux between the jogger and the leading punk girl. It looks ridiculous. He's wearing jogging clothes that show his waist, and she's in all black, and the two look like they couldn't possibly go together. And yet Eric made a very comic pas de deux out of it. And the music for that pas de deux, I wrote a sincerely romantic waltz, which, well, it's sincere in emotion. It's supposed to be very romantic. And then Eric took that. He never left that romantic emotion entirely, but it also becomes a comic pas de deux.